Hey everyone, welcome to episode 194 of the All Dolphins
The
podcast.
Randy Starks episode.
That's right. We're not doing the player recognition though anymore. We're doing the year. Next week we're going to reach 200. Omar, damn,
I know.
yeah.
Hopefully we have it next week.
Well, we'll be doing a podcast anyway. Hopefully, we're talking about the divisional round of the playoffs,
Yeah.
which would most likely be at Baltimore, unless the Steelers can win at Buffalo. In which case, we'd be talking about at Houston or at Cleveland.
Okay.
Too much? Too much?
Too much.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're trying.
I definitely don't want to go through Buffalo again. But yeah.
Why, Omar? Is it because let's not go there. Today is Thursday, January 11th, 2024, not Friday, as I kept putting in a tweet for our stories on alldolphins.com and was scolded by some readers who said, no, stupid, it's Thursday. But
They got to hold on. In your defense, they got
yeah,
to understand our weeks work based on our practice todays, and today was a simulated Friday. So, and I am with you absolutely. If the NFL changes the schedule and alters the day, then alters the week that the Dolphins play, my Wednesday could be a Thursday. My Thursday could be a Friday. So, listen, they just got to understand our life. I get you. I get you.
thank you. Thank you, Omar. In fact,
Today was a Friday for us.
exactly. I interviewed Braxton Berrios about Belichick leaving the Patriots, which we'll get into a little bit later on. And then after I was done, I was like, good luck Sunday. And then it was like, and he goes, no, Saturday. I'm like, see, did it again. So anyway, today's Thursday. Episode is 194. So the 1994 season, man, there's a lot of good things in that 1994 season.
Looks good on paper, 10-6.
Well, it was also the year that Marino came back from the torn Achilles. And in his
Okay.
first game back, amid questions about how well, whether he could be Marino again, because he wasn't moving around necessarily great in training camp and all that. In the opener, they were playing in a muddy field at Hard Pro Player Stadium, whatever it was called then, against the New England Patriots, and completely lit it up. Shootout against the Patriots and Drew Bledsoe. Dolphins win 39-35 on a 30 or 35-yard touchdown pass to Irving Fryer on a 4th and 5, where
Folks,
the
and this
Dolphins.
is all off his head. He's
I
not
love
even.
that. Well,
It's a sickness. It's a real disease, but hey, it
but
benefits him.
it's a very famous memory because it was a 4th and 5. Dolphins only needed a field goal to tie. And at the line of scrimmage, Marino is looking over to Irving Fryer on the right side. And basically, it was like one of those eye contact, go deep, I got you. Lo and behold, straight down the field, go route, over the top, touchdown. Dolphins win 39-35. Wound up with a wild card spot, played the Chiefs and Joe Montana in the first round of the playoffs, won 27-17 to set up a second round date with the San Diego Chargers at old Jack Murphy Stadium. By that time, Don Shula was riding a scooter because something had happened. I don't know if he himself had an Achilles injury or an ankle injury or something of the sort, but he was riding around on a scooter in that playoff game, which is one of the most frustrating for Dolphins fans who go back a ways. Dolphins led 21-6 at halftime. Safety early in the second half made it 21-8, turned the game around. Chargers go up 22-21. Dolphins drive down the field at the end of the game. They take 2 shots deep. Instead of making it a closer field goal, it winds up being like, I think it was 47 yards, 48 yards. Field goal attempt by Pete Stoyanovich. Wide right, I believe it was. Anyway, field goal missed. Dolphins lost 22-21. So a very good season. Oh, and another very, hold on, Omar. Another very famous highlight from that season is a famous fake spike game in November against the Jets. Dolphins down 24-6 in the third quarter. Driving for a comeback towards the end of the game, and Marino goes up to the line of scrimmage and he's like motioning to everybody, I'm going to spike it. Takes a snap, pretends to spike very quickly. Lo and behold, pulls up, throws a back shoulder pass to Mark Ingram for his 4th touchdown catch of the day. Dolphins win 28-24.
I remember that 1994 team. I was actually old enough to be paying attention to football, and that was when they handed over the backfield to Bernie Parmalee, who was a guy that was probably one of my favorite running backs in Dolphins franchise history, just because he gave you a little bit more of a power rushing presence than the previous backs that they had. But yes.
And Bernie Parma, of course, who had been a UPS driver before he joined the Dolphins, knew it was in the news this week. Unfortunately, was relieved of his duties as running backs coach for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
After
All
they
right. I knew he
completely,
was coaching in the NFL, but I didn't know where.
yeah, after they completely flamed out at the end of the season, they made some changes on their staff, and he was one of those who was among the unlucky folks.
Now,
Okay,
speaking of unlucky folks,
there we go. That takes us take part of our injury
let's get
portion.
to the injury report. First off, we already know where the Dolphins are. They're pretty much decimated at just about every spot except for the offensive line, which is probably the only unit that's getting healthier right now.
Tight end, they're in good shape at tight end.
Okay, if they use tight ends, yes.
Interior of the defensive line.
Okay, I'll allow that. I mean, fine, I'll accept that.
Tackle.
What do you mean tackle? Offensive tackle or off? I said
Offensive tackle.
defensive tackle. Yeah, yeah.
Offensive tackle.
No, I gave you the whole offensive line. I mean, relatively speaking, I know
Okay,
the interior.
relatively speaking. Okay.
I mean, they're getting healthier. Robert Hunt is back. Wasn't on the injury report all week. Talked to him today. He said he's fine. He's good. The funny moment with Tua Tagovailoa in the locker room. I know this is not the injury report, but he was interviewing his new pass rushers, Melvin Ingram, not Jonathan Harris, Melvin Ingram, Justin Houston, and
You can
Bruce
do it.
Irving. I know. See, look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
I don't have my mints.
He introduced them, ladies and gentlemen, the OGs. And truthfully speaking, it's an aged, experienced, old unit of pass rushers who have collectively produced 285 sacks when you put everybody all together. I still haven't done the numbers. I want to look up every team in the playoffs of the 12 teams that are there. How many teams have 285 sacks in them? I doubt any of them do. However, talking to Justin Houston, he says there is some carryover from what the Dolphins did in Carolina. That should benefit him. Plus, he's played so much ball, it's relatively easy. He basically hinted that they're all going to be in a rotation, and guys are going to be rotating in and rotating out. I believe they're probably maybe going to be package based. It is what it is. You know where you are from a pass rushing standpoint. It's Agba, Melvin Ingram, Justin Houston, Bruce Irvin, and I'm pretty sure Malik Reed will be activated for the game and elevated up to from the practice squad, primarily to also help you on special teams. What's the finger for? What's the finger?
No,
for?
I was going to point out something very funny. To me, the best thing that Justin Houston said is he was asked, is it going to feel weird to be in the visitor locker room going back to Kansas City because he started his career with the Chiefs? And he said, locker room, that thing's a closet. Did you catch that when he said that?
Yeah.
That was funny.
I couldn't hear all of his interview, but yeah,
a lot of people in there. I was Tyreek spoke and I got myself like boxed out, and it was basically like one of those like I needed like one of those.
Yeah.
It was back.
Tyreek is fine.
Go back to the injury report. Xavier Howard ruled out, and as expected, the other 4 players who have game status designations are listed as questionable. That's Jalen Waddle, Raheem Mostert, and the 2 safeties, Deshaun Elliott and Javon Holland. However, the 2 safeties did not practice on Friday, which was their only real practice of the week, which is a very ominous sign and pretty bad too, actually.
Yeah, I think Mike McDaniel and Vic Fangio both hinted that it took a lot for Deshaun Elliott to play that last game, and he probably did more damage to his calf injury than helped it. So it looks like he might be down. And the problematic situation, and I don't know if I could rule Javon Holland down because they said that they were going to try something different this week with Javon Holland, is, well, clearly he didn't practice this week, so maybe he's just going to participate in walkthroughs and then see if he's going to try for the game, maybe try in a limited role. I believe he was used a little bit as a nickel kind of player. I don't know, but if I had to put money on it, I'm putting money on Elijah Campbell and Brandon Jones starting that game. They started against the Jets. It's a huge benefit for Elijah Campbell to have all of the practice reps with the first team, just because it allows him to kind of get comfortable and simulate the speed. Talk to him a little bit today. Um, Nobody knows what's going to happen. Nobody knows what it's going to look like. But more than likely, it's going to be those two are your backup safeties. Maybe Javon Holland is in the mix as a player, and then you're probably going to have to elevate Ethan Bonner. Just from You need some special teams. You need some special teams help. Ethan Bonner can help you on special teams, and he also works as a safety. I think Nick is going to be needed as in a cornerback role. So I
They'll
think
need him. They'll need him.
Nick, really.
Thank you.
um,
They need him. They'll need him. Yes, thank you.
yeah.
Yes, I'm corny, by the way. I'll save you the
I
trouble
think
with
the
the
people who've
comments.
been here for 194 podcasts have already figured out you're a little corny.
Good point.
Yeah. Needham is very interesting to me from this standpoint. We've kind of seen Kader Kohu kind of get carved up majority of the season. Obviously, that's a situation where you don't really necessarily have many options, but Nick is an option. The question is, would Vic Fangio feel confident enough to make a change? At this point, you are where you are. You have who you have out there on the field. And really, the Kansas City Chiefs, outside of having a phenomenal elite quarterback, their wide receiver unit is mediocre. So,
Man, you're nice. Man, you're nice.
it's lackluster. It's
Pedestrian.
competent.
Oh,
Um,
no, the competence too. That's too good. That's too good.
yeah. What is competent is this Dolphins cornerback unit.
Okay, and then I'm of the opinion.
Oh yeah.
Think.
Here we go.
Oh, I think that Jalen Waddle and Raheem Mostert are going to give it a shot. They're certainly obviously going to go through warm ups. I would think they're going to be active unless I know Omar, and I'm the same way with this. Jalen Waddle didn't exactly inspire tremendous confidence in the way he was running in the portion open to the media. I still think it would take a lot for him to be sat because it's a playoff game.
That was the worst movement skills that I've probably ever seen on a practice field.
Man, that bad.
I mean, there was one point where he nearly fell down.
Okay.
Yeah, and I wasn't the only one who saw it.
Oh,
Pete,
really?
Pete, Channel 7 photographer caught it as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, hey, if he plays, more props to him. Obviously, there's nothing to really save yourself for. You know, I don't know with an ankle, maybe you could shoot it up, and and you could try. But man, I don't know if I've ever seen somebody move that poorly before. And
for those who are wondering, I mean, it's basically dealing with a high ankle sprain, and a lot of times those things could be around 4 to 6 weeks. So it's nothing. And nobody should ever even remotely question Waddle's toughness. This is a dude who played with a bone in his, with a screw in his foot, in his last game at Alabama because he wanted so badly to be there with his teammates. I mean, dude is really tough, but high ankle sprain is tough, especially for a wide receiver.
Yeah, and even though Tyreek has played with an ankle sprain for the past 3 weeks, I think that this is a different issue. And we can say the same thing about Raheem Mostert. Watched him; he wasn't that bad. He wasn't.
Right.
And I think Raheem is a soldier. He's a warrior. He wants to play through this situation. He said, basically, I've been saving myself for the playoffs, or they've been saving me for the playoffs. Well, the playoffs is here. There is no tomorrow. And I personally believe, I said it.
I know that's beautiful. That's deep. Can I write this? I've never heard that before. Can I write it down? There is. Sorry. Yes, I'm a wise ass on top of it. Corny and a wise.
There is no tomorrow, and I personally believe that this Dolphins offense is at its best when you have Devon Achane, Raheem Mostert, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle on the field. And you could throw in Durham Smider, you could throw in Alec Ingold. Doesn't matter to me. Um, that's your best lineup. And you at least need those two backs. Yeah, Tyreek. And I found it very interesting that even Tehran was making a pitch for Waddle playing and how it makes a difference. And he basically said, yeah, it takes a lot of the attention off 10. And that's the one thing that people have underestimated or undervalued is teams are defending Miami differently now that there's no dual threat on the opposite side of the field. And especially when Cedric Wilson comes into the game, like, I ain't worried about you beating me deep. Like, go on ahead. You want to beat me deep? Go ahead, beat me deep. So teams are playing them differently, and I just think that their offense that's part of the reason why their offense is struggling. I know everybody wants Tua to put a cape on and rescue this team, but when teams are absolutely clamping down on your receivers and bracketing your top weapon, it's hard to make things work in the passing game. Now, it doesn't help that a lot of drops are happening, but this is what we play the game for. You put your big boy pants on. I'm sure Tua has a little bit better weaponry and arsenal than Patrick Mahomes, so just figure it out a way to get it done.
Yeah, and Tua is a focal point because number one, he's a quarterback. Number two, because he's heading into an off season where there's talk about a contract extension. Why are you rolling your eyes? Again,
you're bringing up the money, and it wasn't necessary.
I'm explaining why there's so much focus on Tua in a situation where it's not just him. Where when the offense fails, there's a lot of different factors involved.
Okay.
But Tua has a role in that, and the focus is on him because he's the one in line for a massive extension and a major commitment from the team. That's why there's going to be a spotlight on him.
So if Trevor Lawrence gets a major commitment and a $50 million contract from the team, even though he just failed in helping his team advance to the playoffs, is that okay? Or they're just being
Jacksonville? I'm not worried about Jacksonville. But
you didn't answer the question. I'd like to answer the question.
If they were to hold off on it, nobody could blame him because he wasn't great down the stretch at all. He didn't elevate.
Okay.
The last pass of the season for Jacksonville, I don't know if you saw their last game, was a horrible throw or a horrible overthrow. But I could make the argument that 2 plays earlier when he's throwing down the field to Calvin Ridley, dude, you're allowed to jump to dive for the ball, even though it's a little bit ahead of you. Effort, E for effort on that one. But anyway, to answer your question, yeah, I would not be necessarily as quick to do the massive extension on Trevor Lawrence after the way that season ended.
Well, you know what? There's a certain quarterback who pooped the bed in the fourth quarter of his loss last year in the playoffs, losing to Jacksonville. He got an extension. Nobody cried about the fact that he can't win the big game or isn't elite.
You watch the game?
Yeah, I did watch the game.
You watch all that game?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Rewatch and tell me how much of it was on him and how much of it was putrid coaching, bad penalties, and all that. Anyway, I know we love to do this, but how about we just stick to the Dolphins right now? And let's move on to another topic, the team awards. And you didn't want to discuss it, damn straight. We're going to discuss it. The Dolphins 2023.
Okay.
And we'll start backwards. The Community Service Award, and I don't mean to diminish the importance of any of those. Those are all important. The Nadmore Community Service Award goes to Bradley Chubb for his work in the community. Hat tip.
Jalen Phillips got robbed. Anyway, no, Jalen Phillips, the NFL.
Won it last year, 2 years ago. And a lot of guys do good work in the community.
Yes.
The Ed Block Courage Award winner was Austin Jackson for his work in coming back from the ankle issues he had in 2022. Hat tip to him.
Completely redefined his body. Austin looks like a defensive end right now.
The Downshore Leadership Award, that one voted by the players, went to Alec Ingold. That's impressive.
That surprised me.
Yeah. Kind of a little bit of an under the radar candidate had we evaluated or tried to predict, right?
When I saw that, I was totally floored and surprised. I knew Alec Ingold was a leader. I didn't know that his teammates would vote him the top leader on the team.
Very impressive.
So props to him.
And now we get to the Dan Marino MVP Award, as voted on by the South Florida media.
You hear my drum roll?
Tyreek, that was very, very good. Tyreek Hill won the vote. from South Florida media. For full disclosure, the two people here had different votes, and take a wild guess who voted for who.
Well,
It's too bad this is not a live episode. We could have, asked the people to chime in the comments with their prediction.
as I explained to the room when we were discussing our votes in the week of voting, I am fundamentally opposed to giving people back-to-back awards, primarily when, I said it.
God, that's a horrible reason.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. I like spreading the wealth. I have two rules
This
when
ain't a
it comes.
participation trophy, my man.
I have two rules when it comes to trophies or honors or
Okay.
Hall of Fame considerations. Did you win it all? I'm a ring counter. Okay. And then the second is I don't like repeat winners of things. I just don't. So
what's the ring have to do with anything?
It mostly comes into play in Hall of Fame. Like I'll really, like, for instance, Devin Hester. Yeah, he'll eventually be a Hall of Famer, but he's got to wait a little while because he's never won a ring. And whereas I'm putting Will Fork ahead of the line because he has won a ring.
Because he was lucky enough to play for a great organization.
He wasn't lucky enough. He was a very pivotal player in a dynamic defense on championship teams.
Without question. And he played for the Atlanta Falcons or whatever, he would have been just as good a player. And not it. To me, for my criteria for the Hall of Fame, and so we're getting into a separate discussion here, a sidebar, but if we call it, how did you compare with your peers at your position?
Okay.
And I look at Devin Hester, to me, is like,
you
want to talk kick returners? Forget it. Devin Hester.
Okay. In a year where you have a weak class and you need to fit one guy in, fit him in. Just like you did Tony Baselli last year.
Tony Baselli was a damn good player.
He was a damn good player.
Okay,
but there's a reason he waited like 10 years to get in. Let's be honest. Okay.
Let's go back to this discussion. So your objection to Tyreek was because he won it last year? Because the rings don't factor here.
Primarily, and I also thought that Tua was a very logical, reasonable candidate. He has not won the award in honor, and I think that Tua props up this 11-6 team. I'm not of the opinion, unlike some people, won't call their names, that this team is Tua is Tyreek, and everything off Tyreek. They've won a game without Tyreek.
Yeah, I don't know if I go as far as to say I'm Tyreek, but to me, Tyreek's the one who stands out. And no, I don't buy. And I'll go revisit history. Xavier Howard won the team MVP award in 2020 when he had the 10 picks. The following year, he had like 6 or 7 picks. To me, easily should have been the MVP. It wound up being Jalen Waddle, who did set the rookie record for receptions, also averaged like 9 yards per catch. So if you remember, that was a year where it was Waddle and nobody else in the receiving core, and it was basically wide receiver screen, jet sweep, wide receiver screen.
Yeah, they made him a slot receiver, which absolutely made no sense to me. But hey,
correct, and it wasn't horribly impactful because everything was short. So to me, this notion. So we're talking about like league MVP award, like for example, Michael Jordan won it every year or many years. You have an issue with that?
For instance, I'm not a big. Patrick Mahomes would have to absolutely blow away the crowd in order to be in consideration. He's won the MVP award twice for me. Lamar, okay, I got to give it to you because you're the front runner, even though you've already won the award. But what?
That means count it. That thing's over.
Yeah. I mean that final performance against the Dolphins. I mean there's nothing else needs to be said.
Baltimore and the Dolphins, those two.
Yeah. But I think it's going to be a challenge for him to win it in ensuing seasons because he's already won it twice. I know I'm not the only person who doesn't vote for incumbents or reigning winners of awards. I know I'm not the only person who gives you deducts points for past winners. And yes, I will openly admit I deducted points from Tyreek for being a past winner.
God, don't like. Had you told me, if you're like telling me like legitimately in a Tua, I think was more important to the team, I'm good with that. You're telling me not Tyreek because he won it last year? Sorry, not on board.
I think Tua is just as reasonable a candidate. The offense ranked number one, it's been number one all season. I think the efficiency and the accuracy that he throws with it helps balance out the offense. The timing, pocket presence helps the offensive line be one of the top rated units in the NFL, despite 12 different starting units. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to disrespect him just because he's not a freak of nature like Tyreek. Okay,
Okay, that's a much better argument than Tyreek loses because he won it last year.
I mean, but I'm not going to deny the fact that I'm deducting major points. I mean, Tyreek starts out negative 20 points on my poll because he's the reigning champion. He's a reigning MVP.
And I appreciate your honesty. I cannot disagree with you more with that premise, but I appreciate the honesty. And for me, it was like all your points with two are valid. To me, it's like you look at all the key plays throughout the season, and it's Tyreek's ability to get open that creates most of them.
I think Raheem Mostert was also a very logical and reasonable candidate, in my opinion. Now, 21.
Here's the thing. Except, are you prepared to say? I like Raheem. I love Raheem. Are we even sure he was the best running back on the team this year?
That's fair. And I will allow it and allow it to the argument. When Devon Achane has the highest yards per carry average in NFL history, well, exactly what can I say? Like,
the dude was a freak. And the thing is, the biggest argument for Raheem was the high number of touchdowns. Well, a lot of those are 2-yard runs, 3-yard runs. I mean,
a lot of them weren't. A lot of them weren't. So,
well, go look at him. I'm gonna guess out of his 20.
No. He's got a substantial amount of decent, respectable runs into the end zone. He's not just all finishing 2-3 yards.
Bet you more than half. I mean, I'll be happy to look it up. Bet you more than half are runs of 3 yards or less.
Okay, I will accept that challenge.
Okay, let me write me a note.
Well, you're not gonna do it now. We're not gonna do it
after the podcast.
Yeah.
Next on my list. Topics to discuss.
Huh?
Next on my list of topics to discuss today. No, it's technically not directly related to the Dolphins, but it has Dolphin significance. That's the news of Bill Belichick and the Patriots deciding to part ways, because this is a guy who was a thorn in the Dolphin side for many, many, many years. You're funny. How'd you like McDaniel saying this is a guy who was at the job for 24 years and it wasn't because of his entertaining press conferences?
I did think that was funny. I thought his comment about, what was it that he said, that he used the D word?
Father times a D word.
Yeah. And I was just like, wow. And I understand, like, this coaching is a young man's game, man. It's the hours that they have to put in. If you're in your 70s, that's a tough, rough life. And, Pete Carroll basically was forced into retirement. Nick Saban said he had to walk away from the game just because age was becoming a factor. And then you got to think of Bill Belichick, even though I think he's going to go out there and try to get another job. You got to think age has got to be a factor in terms of what Bill is doing and how he's hanging in there and the desire. I mean, they got a lot of issues that they have to address and they have to fix, which is why I think it's the wise thing to really purge and restart and get a fresh look and fresh perspective. To me, the key is to hire the right GM and then move from there.
Yeah, well, part of the problem with New England in recent years is, as somebody pointed out, Bill Belichick, the GM, let down Bill Belichick, the coach. And you look at certain positions, for example, look at their drafts with wide receivers. Oof, bad.
The agency with wide receivers too.
Yeah. I mean, could not nail that. And unlike, for example, even though it's unrelated to anything that we're talking about, the Steelers, you need a wide receiver. Call the Steelers. Tell them who should we pick in the 5th or 6th rounds. Those guys nail the crap out of them all the time. It's crazy. Anyway, that's a big issue now.
Or maybe it's player development.
True.
Coaching.
Now, the next issue for the Patriots is who are they going to hire? And the 3 names that you're going to hear, among others, but the 3 maybe most logical choices are Gerard Mayo, who's an assistant on the team, former linebacker for the Patriots, Mike Vrabel, who played for the Patriots, coached with the Patriots, is a hell of a coach. And then third one, your good friend, Omar,
Why you gotta be my friend?
Brian Flores.
We are not friends. Let's
Okay.
get and people mistake that all the time because I did an interview with him for I Am Athlete. I'm sorry. That whole interview, you didn't see the contentious parts. We're not friends.
I want to see the raw footage at some point. If you have it. Come on.
I wish, man.
Come on. But anyway, Brian Flores, if you recall, before he joined the Dolphins, spent an awful lot of years in New England. I'm pretty sure he's very, very well respected in that organization. And say what you want about him, Dolphin fans, the dude knows his X's and O's. Now he's going to have some work to do.
Can he put together a staff?
That's a question.
Here's my issue with the Brian Flores to become head coach. And while I do support his lawsuit and think it has a ridiculous amount of merits, it should be a class action lawsuit representing all of the minority coaches in the NFL because they do get a raw deal. Hell, throw Ron Rivera in that situation as well. Like, minority coaches get the worst jobs, are in the most adverse situations. However, can you be named a head coach in the NFL while you're suing the league?
He was named a DC.
That's not a head coach.
I understand that.
There are two things that I think stand in his way. One, can he assemble a quality staff, which we saw here in Miami that he couldn't? And two, can he be hired as a head coach in a league where we know that the deck is stacked against minorities while he's suing the league? And I don't know. I don't have an answer to that question. It will be curious. I'm going to be very curious to see if the performance that he's done this year, and I'm going to look up where his defense ranked this season. If the performance that he's done this year and the performance that he did with the Pittsburgh Steelers last year warrants another opportunity and another look-see. Because hell, Vic Fangio's done more in his one season than Brian Flores has done more. You think Vic Fangio's going to get another sniff? Why? Because he's a white man? Or because he's an old curmudgeon?
Can we not? We don't need to bring race into this.
Okay, but I mean, what we're talking about Brian Flores, and his name is going to be brought into the equation primarily, if at all, because he's a minority coach, and he did have 2 winning seasons with the Miami Dolphins.
His name is going to be brought up because he knows it's football. He had 2 winning seasons out of 3 years with the Dolphins, and the one he didn't was the tank year, and because he has long.
Hey, he wasn't tanking. All right.
Well, okay, but let's just say he wasn't equipped with the best personnel to win.
He wasn't knowingly, willingly tanking.
And he has long-standing ties with the Patriots and Robert Kraft.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why he's going to be considered. And keep in mind, as you looked at the Minnesota stats, that last year in 2022, their defense was horrible. I think it was 30th or whatever. This year, the defense had the Vikings in contention until things fell apart down the stretch as they were going through 23 different.
They were ranked 16th in the NFL.
Better than 30th.
All right. I'm not hating on Brian Flores, and I wish him the best of opportunity. I really want his lawsuit to be successful. I have one major concern about Brian Flores.
Oh, no, you've said it.
Can you put together a quality staff? And to me, that's the number one requirement for a head coach. I looked, and when Joe Philbin got here, he didn't have a quality staff. How did that end up? Adam Gase had a decent quality staff. Brian Flores had a decent staff the year he got Chan Gailey, and Chan Gailey brought his boys. But then once Chan Gailey said, yo, I'm out this piece. How did that staff end up?
Adam Gase had a very good staff.
Adam Gase had a very good staff.
Very good staff. Good friend Lee Anarumo done some great work with Lou Anarumo did some great work with the Bengals.
Yeah. Matt Burke is still a defensive coordinator in
Matt Burke. What a cool dude.
He's a playoff. He's got a playoff team.
He's with
Houston Texans.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay. See, there you go. To me, and maybe the name to watch, I think eventually going to wind up being Vrabel. And I told Dolphin fans on Twitter, I said, and not great news for the Dolphins. And yes, I know right now they're personnel deficient, but once he gets the decent talent, That dude can coach.
I'm more concerned about who is the GM of the New England Patriots, not who is the head coach.
Well, fair enough. Fair enough. Do we want to address Tyreek's comments? Was there anything? Like I said, I was kind of semi shut out of it.
Lost everything in his home. Now living displaced. Acknowledged and admitted that his full focus wasn't necessarily on football last week, which I found a little interesting. Tried very hard to downplay. I mean, when your house burns down, you lose kind of all your possessions. These things happen. He basically said everything I've worked for was gone, and I was
everything? I mean, it was just there's a second floor that was demolished.
That was the quote, my brother.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not taking inventory. Maybe all the bedrooms are in the second floor. Think about it.
Maybe the valuables room or something. Who knows? I did hear him the part about him talking about Kansas City. Yeah, just another game.
Yeah. He said that twice, and we're like, and that to me didn't register well because you were extremely looking forward to returning to Kansas City when the schedule, when you knew who the opponent was. Then when it became Germany, you were extremely upset that you weren't going back to Kansas City. And now here we are, you're returning to Kansas City for a playoff game against the defending champions, and you're just like, yeah, it's just another game.
Yeah.
And he also said he's working on his hands because he's, the catching, he's doing jugs work and getting back to the fundamentals. And I did see him after practice working on the jugs. Got a little pow from Ann because I took video of it, which I wasn't supposed to. Didn't know. I apologize, Ann. Tyreek is
that's bad Omar.
I am of the opinion, and you may stone me to death if you would like, but Tyreek.
Go ahead.
What'd you say?
May I? Were you talking to the viewers or me?
Both.
Okay.
I shall allow stoning on this, and if you disagree, please share. But I'm sorry, because Tyreek could have shut that thing down for at least 2 weeks. He's out there playing on an ankle that he probably has no business playing on, and I know he's dropped passes from time to time. Let's not act like 3 defenders clamping down on you while you're trying to catch a pass is just an easy thing to do. And I get it. You make $30 million a year. People expect you to do those things. But what he's doing is not easy. And Mike McDaniel excused it, just like Mike is going to do, by saying, hey, literally what he's doing is not easy. And I definitely agree with him.
Can it be a little bit of both? Can it be a major hat tip for playing through what he's got, which I agree with you. There are a lot of players who wouldn't be out there. And
you got the same thing as Raheem Mostert and Jalen Waddle, and both of those guys have missed past 2 weeks. Tyreek missed 1 week.
But can we say that? Can we give him a major hat tip for the resilience and the ability to overcome the injury? And at the same time, dude, stop dropping passes that are right in your hands, bad ankle or not.
He is the highest paid receiver in the NFL. So, touche. Let's address this safety position because
we already.
I know, but I don't think we gave it enough opportunity to. You're already down your pass rushers. You're already down your starting inside linebacker. You're already down your boundary cornerback. Now you're down 2 of your safeties. You not worried about this going into a Kansas City Chiefs game?
I mean, duh. Yeah. But this is where I said, I think on the show yesterday, that this is a game where I expect, want, and need the offense to do some more heavy lifting than it's done in recent weeks.
What's the heaviest lifting that they've done the past month?
The last 3 games, it was 22 points against Dallas, 19 against Baltimore, 14 against Buffalo. I don't think
so the last time they were good was 27 against Tennessee and 30 against the Jets, and the Jets really have nothing.
Well, no, they weren't good against Tennessee because they got 27 points, and if you recall, one of them was a muffed punt that they got at the 5-yard line.
Oh,
and then there was the turnover on the next play.
Okay, so we got to disqualify Tennessee. So
correct. So
what about Washington? 45-15.
Washington, they were great, but against a booty cheeks defense.
So the last 3 games against elite opponents, they basically pooped the bed offensively, is what you're saying. Those games also featured no Tyreek and a gimpy Tyreek and Jalen Waddle and no Raheem Mostert.
Nobody wants to hear it.
Nobody feels sorry for him.
Even if you get your guys on Saturday night, even if they're not 100%, nobody wants to hear it because on defense, not only do they not have guys at 100%, like Jerome Baker's not 100%, he's not out there, period. Bradley Chubb's not out there, period. You don't have those guys. At least
Andrew Van Ginkel's not out there, period.
Correct.
Jerome Baker's not out there, period.
X ain't going to be out there, period. So
yeah.
The offense need to do some more heavy lifting. And if not, good luck winning that game.
Yeah. All right. We got anything left in us?
No.
Or we're like the Dolphin season. We're on fumes.
Are you giving up? Actually, we should save that for the live preview show.
When are we doing? Did we make a decision? Are we doing it tomorrow?
No, you decide. I don't know.
Let's do it tomorrow at lunchtime.
Let's do it when?
Lunchtime.
Friday?
Yeah, why not? No, okay. You want to do it Saturday? Saturday before the game?
Saturday lunchtime makes more sense.
No, can't do Saturday lunchtime. Doesn't give the fans the hours and opportunity to actually watch it.
So we'll gang, we'll talk about it and we'll put on social media.
Yeah, you tell us what to do in the comments. That's
exactly.
This podcast belongs to you. You tell us when you want the live. You want the live Friday at lunchtime or you want the live Saturday morning? You make the decision. And we
can't be early Saturday morning. I'm going to be sleeping. So there. And on that note, Omar, do the spiel. The thank you spiel.
Listen, you know how to find us. alldolphins.com. We are not under a paywall, behind the paywall. You click it, you read it, it's for free. Poupard's got how many stories up today?
Total, I think we have 6 or 7. I have 1 or 2 more to write.
Okay. And also, you know how to find us on any audio platform, the All Dolphins podcast. We're on every audio platform. We're on YouTube. Please like, share, subscribe, tell a friend. And we will see you tomorrow.